bird nerds. So, where have I been? We'll talk about that. Hi, it's the day after. Um, the day after. I'm Grant, I'm a bird nerd. This is the Bird Emergency, and I'm also running this over to not just another podcast as well, because I don't know how I feel about things, and I took some time away from streaming and basically social media because I found that I was getting too personally and emotionally invested in the American election, in and the politics around it. And I really wanted to talk a little bit about that today because I'm really concerned now that with the country that emits 13% of the global carbon emissions and is allied ideologically now, leaders ideologically aligned with the another major emitter who has an economy also almost completely dependent on selling oil. I am really concerned about where we are going to need to go, what we are going to need to do, and how we are going to need to support each other to achieve any real gains in preservation of biodiversity. And for those of you who have watched and followed the Bird Emergency, you'll know that the preservation of biodiversity, and particularly birds, is where I have chosen to make my biggest effort. I just wonder where we will need to go now, because it just seems like people don't care. Thank you for that, Naomi. Hello, I'm glad you're here, Naomi. I'd be really interested in some comments today because I'm only streaming today to get this sort of out of my system. It's difficult to comprehend the scale of the defeat in America. And by the way, Naomi, just tell me if the way I've got my mic set up today, am I loud enough for you? I've got a totally new old setup. There's been a whole lot of things going on, which means I'm not streaming on my flash camera and my flash computer. I'm back to, I've gone back about 18 months in level of technology. Let's see. I'll try and... Thanks, Naomi. How you going, Naomi, too, by the way? I hope your bird watching's been going great. You have to fill me in. We'll do a fun show tomorrow. But today I really just want to get some ideas from you while I vent a little bit. In Queensland, in the Australian political context, we've regressed, and people are free to make their choices. I'm not going to say people shouldn't vote the way they do or whatever. What I'm wrestling with is if people continually vote in a way that demonstrates that biodiversity preservation, conservation, climate change just isn't important, when I don't think there is a deficit of knowledge or awareness. Let me say that. I don't think there is a deficit in awareness. I think people know that we are faced with problems in the survival of millions of species. I think millions isn't overplaying it when you count every type of organism. But how do activists and allies continue on with their work? How does someone like me continue to do content, but also activism in a way that has some effect? I'm just feeling now like we're doing it wrong. Do I need to do a political show and engage with some of these popular right-wing bozos, and in those conversations just continually inject the topics that I care about? Do I need to be a Trojan horse to get to an audience? And so I've got to say, I decided to take a break, and when the break became quite long, and this is really self-indulgent, but I didn't get any feedback. No one sort of said, where are you? What's happening? Why aren't you here? So if nobody missed me, why the hell am I doing it? So does my whole format and approach need to freshen up? Do I need to find different kinds of people to talk to? It's funny when I look at the stats in sort of viewing, more people consume the stuff where it's just me talking and ranting and analysing the news, doing a second-rate bloody news show, which is never what I set out to do. But that's what people are watching. They're not watching experts about birds. It's really disheartening. So do I need to maybe just have this fringe bit where I talk to experts and talk about research and talk about building the knowledge base in conservation? And do I need to hook people in by talking about tourism and more politics and photography? Because that always gets good looks. I mean, I'm really frustrated. Now, Naomi's got a long comment here. Naomi's exhausted, been in the Mallee for a month doing fencing, birding and astrophotography. Well, I can't think of anything better than doing birding and astrophotography. And I must say, fencing when you're way out in the bush, it's pretty therapeutic because it's hard work, and you can look back, you can look at what you have achieved at the end of the day. And Naomi's not happy about the results of the election in the US. It's astonishing to me that the vote went this way. I'm so worried about the planet, the animals, birds, especially the people that I know over there. Okay, well, I'm not happy. I was stunned at the scale of the defeat. So I'm stunned. But then I've been I consume a lot of US political media and British political media. Excuse me. But to me, it's not astonishing. And that's because in the year leading up to the election, the number one concern for most people in the States that were, polled in an unscientific way, they've dressed it up as inflation. They always say, "Oh, prices and inflation," but the common theme is the price of petrol. And I don't think America is. I mean, they're not able to think about, if your price of petrol is too high, maybe we should move towards decarbonising and making vehicles that run on electricity, which is a cheaper form of power for you, to dominate. But the electrical market is dominated by Elon Musk. And his businesses rely on government subsidy. And I don't think a lot of people understand the way Tesla works. It sells its carbon credits to other companies in the States. I don't think the US is close to being able to decarbonise. Z, hello. It's nice to see you. Thank you for the like. So, if the US isn't able to move, and certainly in the next 4 years, if apparently Elon Musk can't be in the cabinet and continue to run SpaceX and Tesla and Starlink and Twitter X. But that's under the current rules and conventions. What's to say that they just don't break those rules? I'll get the clips that I was listening to this morning and play them maybe tomorrow when I'll actually promote the stream tomorrow. And Naomi, let's talk about this. Why do they not blame the gas companies, Shell, BP, etc., just like they don't blame Costco for the high price of bread when they're making tons of profit, like Coles and Woolies here? There's a massive difference. People here do blame Coles and Woolies. And people here are being occasionally told that companies are price gouging. We have a body called the ACCC. We have people on the media like Professor Alan Fels who draw attention to specific rip-offs. They don't have that environment in the US. They just don't. So they don't, and they don't process facts because they don't care about facts. And this is where I'm really concerned about what we do next. Because, I mean, the floods in Spain. The authorities in Spain, and I'm not sure whether it was the local government or the federal authorities, but they've known for 30 years that flood event was possible if the rainfall event that they experienced happened. Now, meteorologists and climatologists, along with geographers and insurance actuaries, have been telling people that these kind of events are going to happen, but nobody is doing enough about it. Just have I don't want to spend all this time bashing the US, because people can only make decisions based on the information that they're getting. But let's just have a look what's happened in the last couple of weeks in Australia. Anthony Albanese, for those of you from overseas, he is the Prime Minister in Australia. He is a moderately left-wing Labor Party, Australian Labor Party Prime Minister. And in Australia, our Labor Party is centre. Maybe you could say centre-left. But on the political spectrum, they are centre. He has been attacked for supposedly soliciting upgrades from when he's flying on the two major airlines in Australia. And the accusations were out there for weeks. And I generally, in this place where I live, the Channel 7 news is what is on mostly. But I check my news feed all the time. News Limited, Channel 7, Channel 9 were running and creating the impression that Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister, was ringing up the head of Qantas saying, hey, I'm going on a flight, we've booked economy, can you upgrade me to business class or first class? And that was being put around by so many of the opposition politicians, but mostly by a senator called Bridget McKenzie. The same one who had to resign from in the last government for running a rort scheme. I won't go into that, but it was cut and dried, and she resigned as a minister. She represents the National Party. That's the party that garners about 4% of the vote nationally, but occupies somewhere around 25% of the cabinet positions or ministerial positions when we have a conservative government in power here. There's an arrangement here between the Liberal Party, which are the Tories, the Conservatives, and the Nationals, which are basically the rural regional party that purport to represent farmers, but in most cases they act against those interests, in my opinion. Now, she's the deputy leader, I believe, of the National Party. And for 2 weeks, she went on every show I could see, going on about Anthony Albanese and his soliciting upgrades and, as if it was some kind of crookedness. After about 2 weeks, and the Labor Party kind of thought it would go away, but eventually Albanese makes a statement to Parliament that he never contacted the head of Qantas to get upgrades. Now, if someone in the lounge from Qantas notices that the Prime Minister looks like he's going to be sitting in economy, they might offer to upgrade him. I don't think that's improper. I actually think that's quite proper. And what they have to do is declare that as a gift on their parliamentary register of interests and gifts. And they do that. So he did nothing wrong. He followed the rules. But what comes out a few days later, and it dropped yesterday, and guess what everyone was focused on yesterday? Oh, the American election. It dropped yesterday that Senator McKenzie has on at least 12 occasions called up someone at Qantas or Virgin and asked for an upgrade. This is just projection. This is like what Trump is a master at. Say that your opponents are doing what you're doing. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off track. We're falling into it now here in Australia. It's happening in Canada. It's happening in New Zealand. It happens in the UK. Thankfully, the UK for themselves have corrected a little bit in terms of government. But how are we, and this is really pertinent for the UK as well, as major security allies of the US, and the US is the largest army in the world, or largest military force in the world, that basically owns all of the technology that we all rely on, such as doing this. I am streaming through a company that is owned now in Italy. So the software I use is now an Italian-based company. Now, I was going to leave them because they've changed their pricing structure and I hate it. But I'm going to try and organise my life so that the services I use now are in the EU. But the UK and Australia are so intrinsically tied up with our strategic defence and intelligence security arrangements with the US. Do we need to, do we have to be complicit in whatever comes next when Ukraine is handed over to Putin? And of course, nobody will say that's what's going to happen. It's not how it works. They just say, we're no longer going to send any American money. We're going to spend American money in America. So then Australia has a choice. Do we still keep sending arms and other support to Ukraine, knowing that it's a lost cause? If Trump walks away from AUKUS, and they already are preparing the ground for that, they were already releasing statements last night, preparing the ground to walk away from AUKUS. Now, I would be happy if AUKUS was scrapped altogether. But does Australia still have to honour the contracts that it has signed with the British submarine makers, even if America doesn't want to go ahead? Do we still have to go into a deal which is crap when the part that makes it work walks away from it? If Donald Trump levies his 20%, or he's even talked about 200% tariffs on all goods, on all Australian agricultural exports, on all of the technology transfer, do we still have to fall in lockstep behind the US? It's not like he hasn't said he's going to target one or two products or categories of products. He's saying everything. I don't know. Now, what's Naomi saying? I thought the minister was found out earlier, but channels 7, 9, 10 only reported it yesterday. I heard about it 3 days ago on Radio National ABC. Yeah. Now, I guess you're referring to Bridget McKenzie. Now, she did it when she was a minister, but she's not a minister now. But yeah, the commercial stations... Channel 7 is run by a guy who is in the pocket for Trump. Absolutely in the pocket for Trump. Channel 9, until recently, was run by Peter Costello. Channel 10, still people in Channel 10 that were there when Murdoch was basically trying to take it over. But Channel 10 is an American company. So you're not going to get the truth. The ABC TV, and just watch ABC nowadays, you can't rely on the ABC for news. Most of it you will get. I mean, yesterday, I think, was it yesterday or the day before? They spent 5 or 8 minutes interviewing the stars of a new movie, and they're doing a musical, the stars of a new musical. And they're telling us they don't have the time to do rural and regional news. Anyway, I'm a bit off the track. But Naomi, if it was something different that I was talking about that you wanted to bring up, I'll put that up again. Now, you heard about it on Radio National ABC. You know how many people listen to Radio National? Is listened to by people over 65. A few people in the regions, but it's less than 3% of the radio listening audience. Overnight I listened to BBC World Service, but I've started to consume a whole lot of independent news media, and there's a really great British podcast called The News Agents, and you get some good information and some different perspectives. But the problem is going to be now is actually getting the information and raw data, raw information to be able to disseminate. So I'd like some ideas from those of you who watch what I do and consume what I do. And there's the 2 channels. There's the podcast, and I got to say, I've been a little bit. The podcast was down for a while, and I didn't even know. But not one person messaged me through any means, social media, email, on the live stream. Nobody said, "Hey Grant, the podcast feed's down." So what that tells me is nobody's looking for it and nobody missed it. In years gone by, when the podcast feed was down, I would get messages and people would go, "Hey Grant, what's happened?" So I'm wondering whether I'm not producing what people want to see or hear. And whether I need to change tack. So that's what I would like some suggestions from you. And I'm going to talk about the ideas that I have, because I have a funny feeling that in the last Trump administration, they destroyed the Department of Land Management. If Project 2025 is a real thing, they have a thing called, what is it? Schedule 7. Is it Schedule 7? And what they're going to do, it's in Project 2025, is they're going to fire all of the public servants in the whole bureaucracy in the States. And then they're going to be rehired, or people are going to be rehired. But you have to swear a loyalty pledge to MAGA. So I don't think there's much point in me trying to reach out to people in the States. Where can we make a difference in the next 4 years? Oh, Naomi, I'm going to talk about what you have just commented. So I'm going to get there, okay? I think this is going to be a healthy discussion. But I'd like your feedback on this idea. I've always been wanting to do my tour guide Thursday and do more photography Friday. I'm now studying. I'm doing a course, and it's on assignments are due on every other Friday, and class is all day every other Friday. So I can pre-record photography Fridays and then run them as a replay them as a video later. But what I want to do is concentrate on countries in the Commonwealth and I want to really target specific geographical locations where I know people watch conservation and climate change kind of content and also watch political content. And I want to try and jam it all together. But for instance, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Malawi, South Africa, just that's a good place to start in Africa. South America's always problematic for me getting interviews, but I want to do more there. I really want to focus on South Pacific, Southeast Asia, island states, because they're the people who are going to bear the brunt of the total inaction. I want to keep talking about it, but I'm no longer fooling myself that we can really make a big difference. So I want to speak to researchers and activists about what they feel they can do that can be effective. I mean, remember, even in countries that we kind of think are pretty nice and pretty good, in Britain, they jailed some activists for up to 15 years for doing climate action that did not do anything other than inconvenience people. They didn't break anything. Even all the people going on about paint and everything on paintings, that's not what they're doing. They're throwing stuff onto plastic that gets wiped off. It's like standing up in a theatre and yelling something. It's a little bit. It's actually that's the wrong analogy. It's like someone's mobile phone going off when you're in the movies. It's something that's annoying. And then it goes away. But people have got 15 years for that in the UK or in England, I think specifically. We've had activists here going to jail for extended periods for organising, being involved in organising a protest, not even doing the protest. And where I'm frustrated is that we've got a government here in Australia which was elected on promises to do stuff, and they haven't done it. And the analysis of the US election seems to be that if you're an incumbent, you're getting chucked out because people don't do what they run on. They campaign on making a difference in climate, and they don't do it. In Australia, we're going to stop the loss of native vegetation. I mean, what is it? 30 by 30. But the simple thing they could do, you got a Labor government in New South Wales that ran on the Great Koala National Park. They haven't done it. They're coming into 2 years. They haven't done it. Stopping logging of koala habitat. They haven't done it. Stopping housing development on the very last urban koala habitat on the fringes in Sydney. They haven't done it. My fear is that Elbow, the Labor Party, and the sort of agreements with independents that in the Senate that keep the government centre left will fall apart, because at the next election they'll be punished for not doing what they said they'd do while they're running around trying to not upset conservatives. In Canada, when the lefty governments tried to dress up and be a bit conservative, guess what happened at the next election? People said, well, if you're going to be conservative, we may as well vote for the Conservatives. Whew. Out. What's happened in America? Kamala Harris goes, I'm a cop. I prosecuted all these people. I did this. We're not that different from the Republicans. You get a war criminal and the daughter of a war criminal who doesn't share any of your beliefs except that she doesn't like Trump. She doesn't believe in protecting abortion rights. She doesn't believe in climate change. She doesn't believe in a whole lot of human rights, advancing human rights. And you make her a centerpiece of your campaign. So why not just vote for the other mob? If you're going to get your heart broken and all the bad things happen, you may as well vote for the people who do the bad things and not get your heart broken. And the depressing thing, and the lessons need to be learned, the turnout in the American election was less than 2020. Even though the percentage margins for Trump look amazing, he didn't get more people coming out to vote for him. What happened was more people who may have voted for Kamala Harris just didn't make the effort to vote. Now, we don't have that same situation here in Australia, but that's what can happen in Britain. You don't have to vote in Britain. Not sure about New Zealand. Not sure about Canada. I don't think they have compulsory voting. But I see heaps of commentators in Britain saying we would have a much stronger democracy if we could have compulsory voting like Australia, and also preferential or ranked choice voting like we have here. All right, I'm gonna go through some of Naomi's comments because I think they're worthwhile and useful. But I really would like, and let's have a look. Where are we watching from? So YouTube and Facebook. I'd like some feedback on the direction that I want to take or what you would like me to take. And I'm also going to rejig. I'm going to make a real play to grow the platform, my platform, this year. And if it means I ditch, for instance, Naomi, you're on Facebook, but if it means I just ditch Facebook and just concentrate on Instagram and YouTube and maybe TikTok and Threads, that's what I will do. I noticed today, I hadn't looked for a long time, I now have many more followers on Instagram than I do on Facebook, I think, and than I do on Instagram, on YouTube, beg your pardon. But YouTube is much better for streaming than Instagram is, so I'm not going to be ditching YouTube. All right, let's go back. Let's follow that up. Naomi's saying she's one of the 3% that listens to Radio National. Yeah, especially in areas of not getting good internet. Yeah. Um, Naomi, I used to listen to Radio National, especially the mornings when I was out in regional Queensland, remote Queensland, and years gone by when I was driving my Land Rover all over the joint out there. I appreciate the news programs, but honestly, nobody gets that information. So, and those people who are listening are usually already plugged in. Now, your next comment, you watch the Minority Report. I watch the Minority Report every morning. I watch it live, and that's why I get up and then I do my emails and go shopping, pick some flowers for Loz. I'll bring Loz in after intermission too. Um, I think I'll do a second stream maybe today. I think I'm limited to 2 hours on this platform here. I might set up the other thing and go on the other one. Anyway, watch out for it if you're interested. But Luke Beasley last night and this morning was excellent. I've really come around to Luke Beasley, even though he's super nice. He's super nice, and he's super reasonable. But this morning he was saying he was almost up to 1 million subscribers by really being a lefty activist, but overnight, as a result of the election, he said he's had hundreds of thousands of people unsubscribe. I think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get a whole lot of people disengaged from that regular political um, uh, the platforms or the content creators that deliver things in the usual way. David Packman. I used to watch Packman a lot. I've completely given him away because he's just totally unable to be rational about Israel. Um, um, for someone who talks about the responsibility he has to talk about issues, and he's really generally in his South American, Central America, some of his European analysis is really good, but he's got a blind spot with Israel, and I'd rather watch someone else. Young Turks, I've given up. I was a member for years. I've given up on the Young Turks. I don't even get them in my newsfeed anymore. YouTube doesn't recommend it to me anymore. I think they have completely lost track. I doubt that the Young Turks, as they are now, will be around in 2 years. Anna Kasparian has completely lost the plot. I can't even, I can't listen to her, and I think Jank is just in denial about how some of his tactics have failed. I was a big supporter of some of the tactics that he was trying, but I think in the American context, I think he just has to recognise that it's failed. I think his bombastic style is tired now. And on that point too, I'm trying. One of the reasons I took an extended break was to let my algorithms reset, because I wasn't afraid of showing my emotions when I was upset. But I don't think that is in the next period of time. I don't think when you uh, when we're now in. I mean, it's a cliche. People have been saying a post-truth world. We're in it, and I don't think I, I don't think doing things the way that we've been doing them is going to be a way to reach what are called low information voters to actually make a change. Um, I think I think I've got to find a way to get into those feeds and to talk to those people in the same way that Friendly Geordies has done it in Australia, and the way that um, Hassan Piker has in the UK, in the US. Um, the majority report is going to be really interesting because I think Sam is extremely intelligent, and I generally like the approaches they take, and I agree with Matt Leck nearly all the time when he has comments, and he's uh, usually spot on with his historical analysis and his suggestions, and he's always pushing for people to organise. Organising is what is important, making connections and organising. And I think I need to work a little bit harder and change up what I've been doing. But I'll get back to that in a minute. I want to go through some of Naomi's other. We'll jump ahead. Naomi has said she agrees. No doubt. I doubt the Young Turks will be around. Um, I think the Young Turks are so like their operation is big, so it requires a lot of money to do it, and I think they've only got one show worth on the network, which is worth persevering with, and that's the Damage Report. But I think John Idarola would be better off somewhere else. But I'm going to try and get John Idarola to talk about some of these things, not about the Young Turks, because I don't think he would. I just don't think he's the kind of person who would talk about it. But I want to talk about where he sees things going. Naomi said, it sounds like Thatcherism is returning. Naomi, I would say Thatcherism never went away. I mean, the most popular talkback radio presenter in the UK has a best-selling book. Excuse me, called How They Broke Britain, that chronicles exactly the plight for Britain, and that they just went back to a different kind of Thatcherism, internet Thatcherism. I kind of like to talk about it. Now, what's Naomi said here? Now, I'm not sure, not punished for that, punished for things that people have heard from Trump. I've heard so many people complain about petrol prices and bread prices here. Yeah, well, I mean, I I'm one of those people. I'm in that exact demographic where um, a 10% change in the prices of my uh, staples has a very material effect on my lifestyle. I think I've told people for years on this program, I live a very small life, and I do that so that my problems are relatively small when things change. I don't want a mortgage where I need to be paying $700 a week. I'm not interested in that stress. I've had the stress life. But now, I mean, I don't eat meat now. I don't eat meat primarily for health benefits, health things. But if I wanted to eat meat, I could not afford to eat meat. If I wanted to afford to eat meat, I would not have the internet and I would not do this because I wouldn't be able to afford subscription for the streaming service and the higher speed internet that I need and the extra power that we spend doing this stuff. So yeah. All right. I think I'm only talking to you at the moment, Naomi. I think this is the thing. I think this is the crossroads I'm at. If I talk bird stuff, people hang around for a little while and think that's nice, but then nobody does anything. Nobody gets involved. Nobody is activated. And I've got to be honest, I think most bird watchers, most people who are really into bird watching and bird photography and bird tours, let's face it, they're Tories. They're independently wealthy. They're I don't think they want to hear the stuff I talk about. Unless it's nice. Now, I might be wrong. Now, the academics are different. The academics are on the same wavelength. So I think I just need to change. I think I need to develop different shows for different people and just gradually talk about now here Naomi's saying I don't eat meat for health and cost reasons. Okay, the cost reasons is not the main reason. The main reason was health reasons, but the change was really easy because of the animal welfare implications, and I had already started to change what meat I would eat. But hey, Naomi, I lived in farming communities for ages. I was a primary producer. I drunk the Kool-Aid. It's a 10-year process to actually come to the realization where none of this shit is necessary. So, I think we both agree on that now. For someone sitting in Melbourne in Australia, there is no reason for you to be eating stall-raised pork. There is no reason for you to be encouraging battery hens. There is no reason that you are getting milk from dairy cows. The alternatives are there. They are satisfactory. We didn't have this kind of stuff in the dark annals of human history. We don't need this kind of farming. I recognise that people currently are economically dependent on it. But there's a way out of it. And in fact, it's so environmentally damaging that we should move away from it. And also, not only for animals, things like growing almonds in Australia and wasting water the way we are developing almond farms is nuts. But that's a different question. But Naomi, coming back to here, the ethical reasons for not eating animals is absolutely clear to me now. But with the recent information that plants are sentient, and if plants are, I think there's some recent philosophical and scientific writings that suggest that insects are sentient. We then got to struggle with, is it ethical to eat anything? But anyway, that's a much bigger question. But yeah, I don't think we need to be factory farming anything. But how do we move towards a situation where everybody can choose not to? I've mentioned many times about my friends in the Philippines and also Indonesia, but the Philippines more particularly. They just don't have the options that we do. This society just. So how do we move in a meaningful way? Anyway, I didn't want to get into this today. I really wanted to stick in the wheelhouse of how to. Well, there's two questions because I've complicated it. Naomi, give me a suggestion. What do you think of my idea of concentrating content for a while on countries other than Australia, the US, and the UK? So I'll wait for feedback on that. And do you think I should change up my content less on the science and academia and more on the issues, conservation, climate, biodiversity, and drawing in the academia and the science into that thread, or stay on the academia and research and practical conservation and draw the politics into that? Or do I just not bother with the politics? That's because I've got these whiteboards on this wall. I won't show you now, but I have these whiteboards where I write up all my ideas and all my potential guests. And if they, I'm rejigging it because I'm not sure what I should do. Or should I just do what I want to do and just see where it takes me? Should I just go back to what I used to do the podcast? The podcast is the podcast, and then do the live streams, and they're just completely different. Just to maximise the use of time, I always wanted to try and force them together, but maybe forcing them together is not the right thing to do. I'm just checking, Naomi. I don't know if you caught up with the Department of Justice has decided to be proactive and discontinue all of the federal criminal prosecutions against Donald Trump because they can't be concluded before he takes office. Naomi, The Rock. I know The Rock well. Now, Naomi says she camped at a town called The Rock, New South Wales. Yeah, The Rock in the Riverina, near Henty and all those kind of towns. Yeah, near an abattoir. God, I worked in an abattoir. I worked on the night shift in an abattoir. Luckily, the shift I worked wasn't the killing shift. I was on the clean-up shift and the packing and dispatching shift. And I got very sick from it. Actually hospitalised and nearly lost my foot. So yeah, I don't like abattoirs at all. Plants do not scream like beasts did. Yeah, no, that's right. But we don't know. We are not able to comprehend if plants are sentient and they feel. We just don't know. So I think we need to just be aware of that, even if it's parked back in the back of your mind. And you say, I think you should do what you want to do. If you're not interested or trying to censor yourself, it wouldn't be as good. Okay. Well, let me make it pretty clear. I won't do anything I'm not interested in doing. If I'm not interested, I won't do it. It's how I do what I'm interested in that makes an effect. I've been doing the podcast for Well, I did my first interview for the podcast. I think it was in 2017. That was when I did my first interview. So we're now talking, I think we're talking 7 years I've been doing what I'm doing. And when podcasts were new, here's part of the problem. Okay, I'll jump around. Here's part of the problem. When I started podcasting, I had to explain to people what a podcast was, and you had to download an app onto your phone, and you had to subscribe to a feed, and it would pop up every now and then. Now everybody who's on a YouTube channel calls it a podcast, and that's not a podcast. But when I did the podcast, the audience knew they were special. They knew that it was a secret, that most people didn't know that they were. So it was kind of cool. But everybody's doing, they call it a podcast now. They're just doing a show. They're just doing a live stream. They're just doing a show. What I'm doing now. This isn't the podcast. I think I changed didn't I change the channel name for this? I don't call it the Bird Emergency Podcast anymore, I don't think. I think I do, it still does on Facebook because I can't change it. But on YouTube, it's just the Bird Emergency because it's not a podcast. So the audiences on the platforms are different. The Facebook audience is different. When I do reels on Instagram and on Facebook, the people who watch them are different. They're not people who are coming to the podcast. And they're certainly not going to the podcast. And in most cases, they're not coming to the live streams because they only want to watch 30 seconds or a minute. I've stopped putting anything on X. I'm still interacting with people on X/Twitter, but I'm not putting content there, and I must update my page and just say, find me on YouTube. I just can't be, it's demoralising seeing how stupid people are on that platform. Even though there's so many really good people still trying to get their message out there, but you're just not being seen. You're not being seen. So you can't, unless you pay an exorbitant amount of money, you can't get your analytics. And then your analytics are fraudulent anyway because you get boosted because you pay. So what's the point? And at least on YouTube, the algorithm puts you in front of people who are interested in what you do. So I think we'll keep going with that. All right. Now, Naomi says, you're not surprised they withdrew the charges. Me either. But I thought that they would wait until a few months from now. I thought that they would take the opportunity to be able to run some hearings and do what Republicans would do if they were in a lame duck session. But no, I mean, they've done it's a sensible thing. It's a total waste of time and everything. And Naomi says you'd still need to explain how to listen to a podcast to me. Yeah. Well, I think that's a bit of the problem now that, look, I totally downgraded my podcast hosting. I used to spend $40 a month, I think, on it. And I had all the bells and whistles and all the stats and everything. But nobody's listening now. So I think I'll just post little snippets, introductions to the interviews I'm doing, and then say, hey, you can watch the whole thing at thebirdemergency.com/YouTube and concentrate on that. But yeah, Naomi, what I was going to say, I failed spectacularly on getting the motivation and also the direction on building up my membership platform. And this is one of the other things why I took a break. because I wanted to work out what I really wanted to do that would give value to people who were going to support me. So we're going to bring back the Dawn Chorus. We're going to bring back First Seen and Heard. We're going to do a bird watching regular show. I haven't decided the day or the kind of time yet. I'm still reaching out to bird watching guests. I want to do things that are a little bit different from what's out there. I mean, because I was one of the first of these kind of bird podcasts, there's now so many people who are just doing exactly what I was doing. And a lot of them have come out of organisations where they have a big platform. And my stuff's just disappeared now. Naomi, thanks for that. Yeah. So this is why I'm talking about this now. Shadow, can you settle down out there, Shadow, please? So yeah, I'm not getting a lot of followers on Insta, but considering I put no effort into it, I get more followers on Instagram than I do for the effort that I put in on other platforms. So I think I'm going to work Instagram hard to direct people to longer form content. So I think that's what is going to happen. Because I'm now got basically a whole day a week taken out of my availability because of the study, plus the time that I've got to take doing the study. I want to do some more things that are a bit more fun and a bit more interactive. And I really enjoy the Dawn Chorus. And I really did like First Seen and Heard. I was just so totally demotivated for getting out of bed at the time I needed to do it. But we might start tomorrow. I nearly did it this morning, but I had to go somewhere early and I didn't have time to make sure the uploads and everything happened. Okay, Naomi, just because I know you're interested, 2020, Biden got 81 million votes. Trump got 74 million. Let's just open up the stats. So Trump got 74 million in 2020. 2024, Trump got 71 million, 3 million less than he got last time when he lost. But Harris got 66 million votes. She got 15 million less votes than Joe Biden. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. Oh, I just got a new thing on X. Now there's a new thing about discovering trends and everything on X, but you have to be Premium Plus, which is what, 18 US, isn't it? So what, $25 a month Australian? As if I'm going to pay for that. And Naomi's giving me the idea on Instagram. Yeah, I think what I'll do, all right, because it's just basically you and me talking here, Naomi, I think I'll announce that First Seen and Heard is back and Dawn Chorus is back. I'll schedule those shows or those things. And I think I'll set up. I was going to do a Substack, and I'm still umming and ahhing about that. But Naomi, you might be interested in this. I do want to do a membership and do more members only content. I think I've satisfied myself that if I do more interviews and pump them out into just quickly or all the time into the free space, it doesn't grow the platform. But I know the people who do want that content might be prepared to be members. And I've got to be honest, I need to find a way to make this pay. I'm going to come back to you about this Kamala thing. I'm going to talk about that in a minute with you, Naomi. But I want your thoughts on this first. Now, I know I floated this in a habitat gardening segment. On Habitat Gardening's back on Saturday too. I just took a complete break from everything for a while. But Habitat Gardening's back on Saturday. But I did float on Habitat Gardening the idea of growing some seedlings or cuttings, and creating my own selections, dozens, so I've given that some thought. I've ordered the seeds, and I am going to start growing these plants. And I've started taking cuttings. I haven't got enough cutting material to grow everything I want to just yet, so I'm going to start with seeds. But members who join on the annual tier will get, when they are ready to send out. So I was thinking about it. I'm doing a mug and I'm doing a t-shirt. And people can get the option. You can get the t-shirt and you can get the mug right now. Or you can basically, taking out a membership, an annual membership, will basically be an order for the box of seedlings, and you'll be able to check whether you want the 12-month flowering dozen, or whether you want a colour, or whether you want a size, or whether you want a height. So that's the idea. Oh, Naomi, Naomi, I can't show you the mug or t-shirt yet. The t-shirt, I had a problem with the t-shirt in terms of, for some reason, it got copyright strike. Like, the place that was going to produce them, and it was an order on demand place, said I couldn't because the design was too similar to something else, which I completely don't understand. So that's being reworked. But in the meantime, the mug and the t-shirt is going to be the Bird Emergency Dodo. So it's basically the logo that I use with, on the backside, just the web address and a slogan that we're still working through, because I think all my slogan ideas are crappy. Yeah, and there is a redesigned Dodo being worked on. So far, I haven't liked any of the redesigns that people have given me. I just want to freshen it up, because, geez, I'm pretty sure I made that little logo in 2016, I think. So yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was 2016. So I think we'll do that just as a. That'll be something people can. And I'm going to do the membership tier. I'm going to do a 6-month tier, a 12-month tier, and a 1-month tier. And if you buy 1 month, you're going to pay significantly more per month than a 6-month or a 12-month, because I basically want the 12 months, because I want something to build from. I'm tired of being under pressure all the time while I'm still trying to put out content. And I don't mind telling you this, Naomi, and my other good friends who might watch this, because it has been, people say, oh, what are you complaining about? Well, if I was making $1 million, or hey, if I was making $20,000 a year out of being involved in conservation, I'd be happy, because it's more than I make now doing anything else, right? So, but as it is, doing this stuff and giving other people a voice and a platform, not very large as it is, but still, every time I reach out to someone about being on the show, they know about the show, even if they don't watch it or listen to it. There has at least been a brand established. So, anyway, now I'm just letting off steam, aren't I? So, Naomi thinks the dodo would look cool, and she's very interested in the plant. So, Naomi, do you think that's a good idea? Because there is a little mailing box that you can get for sending out plants, and 12 or 18 seedlings fit in nicely, and can be posted, and Australia Post can deal with it. So, so there'll be 2 membership tiers for annual, and one of them will include the plants, but of course it's going to also include a postage charge. So it's going to be more expensive than just being an annual member and getting, I don't know. Oh, maybe it would cost about the same amount to send out a mug if I made it a big mug, or I'll think about that. I think mugs are cheaper to post than plants. So I'll think about that. The other thing is the mugs I don't have to handle. They can get shipped, the old drop shipping method. But the plants, I'm growing them, and then I have to send them. But I'll also be writing my own labels and a little book for them, so that you don't just get the plants with the labels from Norwood or whatever the plant growers are, but with the reason I selected them, and I'll vary them. And maybe I'll have a membership tier where you can join, you can get 4 a year, 4 dozen a year or something. I don't know. But I think that's good if you think that's a good idea. Now, but Naomi, you and I are not normal people, so I need to. It obviously it requires an investment to do it. But the other thing I thought of was it gives me the opportunity to film what I'm doing, which is content for habitat gardening. So that is the idea behind that. Okay. So Naomi, are you going to do it again? I really appreciated the Buy Me a Coffee membership when you did that last time. I've got to say, when you and Barbara, I'm sure Barbara won't mind me outing her, were the 2 people who joined annually, and I think you both joined in the same week. And it just so happened on that week, I was really stuck for paying off like one of my annual service charges for, I can't remember if it was for a software thing or for, I think it was the annual charge for the website. And it arrived, and one of my podcast clients had said that they were having a difficult time, and could they delay paying me by about 3 weeks? And I said, oh, yeah, okay. I mean, I always say, yeah. And I thought, oh, no. So that came in. And I didn't even know you'd done it. I just got this notification. I thought, oh, That's great, isn't it? So appreciate that, Naomi. So I reckon if I could have 10 or 15 people who I'm aiming low, aren't I? 10 or 15 members. Um, I mean, with the amount of seed I've got, even when you buy a little bit of seed, you get a lot of plants. Um, yeah, I probably should look. Should I do it, Naomi? Um, mugs would be cheaper to post than plants. Yeah, both. Yeah, I think I'll do it. So I was wasting so much energy chasing chasing up guests. I don't know, Naomi. Tell me, were you have you been waiting for this interview that I've been going to do with Elizabeth Bell, Biz Bell, about island conservation? I think we're now into the sixth or seventh time where we try and find a time. Uh, uh, oh, Naomi, that's great. Thanks. I'm going to make an estimate on the postage. I'm going to. I know. I know some people who mail out plants. I know a nursery who does it. I'm going to speak to them and find out about that. I'm also going to ring the post office, and I will. Uh, I'll get some images of the box. I don't have the box, but it's like a carry all. It's kind of like a box. The cardboard boxes that if you go to the vet and they give you to take your cat home. It's basically that box, and with the standard size square tubes, you can fit 12 or 18. And there might be a box that does 24, but I want to stick to 12 because then it's one for a month. But anyway, okay. Naomi, you think it's a good idea. I'm going to set up that stuff today. Uh, um, yeah, well, yeah, no, Naomi. Actually, I haven't fully read the email yet, but I did get an email from Biz yesterday apologising again. I was sitting here waiting the other morning to do the interview, and it's I think the third time. But the other times she's like rescheduled before I was sitting in the studio, but this time I was sitting in the studio. So anyway, we're going to have one more crack at it. The other thing I'm going to do, I don't know who's going to be interested in what we're talking about now, Naomi. The other thing I'm going to do is go back to the people I interviewed early on in the bird emergency who were never live streamed, or if they were live streamed, it wasn't in this interactive setting. So I'm going back to them, and uh, I'm going to be changing up the bird emergency questions from now on. It's going to be more about what do people do, what can they do, what should they do to make a difference. Um, so yeah, all right, Naomi. I'm glad you're happy with that. Now, is there anything you would like to bring up, Naomi? Because I appreciate your advice. Now the other thing too. I didn't do anything for Bird Week this year. I didn't do any of the promotion I usually do for the bird count. And I've got to tell you, not one person reached out to me in advance to do anything. So I thought two things. One, I just thought I must be totally irrelevant. So why am I always supporting a structure and an organisation that does not? Well, one, it doesn't support me. That's one. And two, I don't think they value anything I do. Be interested in your comment on that. I don't think I'm valued by any of the organisations that support. I don't think they've got any idea what it takes to do this kind of thing regularly. And I just don't think they're interested. I don't think they're interested in me, and I don't think they're interested in my content. I think when I invite people on, they are happy to be involved, but it actually ticks off a KPI for their work performance, I think. Anyway, so I was kind of disappointed. I waited and waited. I knew that Bird Week was coming up, and I was waiting for somebody to send me an email or a message or saying, hey, would you like to interview someone for Bird Week and talk about stuff? And nobody did, and that really surprised me. Anyway, so there we go. That's why I've been disillusioned. And I've spent a lot of resources assisting people who were hit by the typhoon in the Philippines. So I've said many, many times, I've got lots of friends in the Philippines. I've had many people from the Philippines help me with developing content, and several of those people had their lives completely smashed by the typhoon. And these are people with no backstop, no safety net or whatever. So basically everything that I had saved up for travel in the new year, I sent to people to put a new door on their house, or to buy some material for roofing, or to purchase LPG because the government in the Philippines is totally unable to get emergency supplies to anyone who is not in a major city. Purchasing drinking water, because of course the minute that the supply chain changed, everyone who had water price gouged all their neighbours, all their regular customers. So I don't regret it, but it's made things very, very it's made the short term very difficult for me. So Naomi, if I put my membership offer up, I would be much obliged if you did join. And I've just got a word what the selections for the available orders will be, and I've got to make sure that. I'm always going to have to substitute if seed isn't available. So, okay, now Naomi says, Naomi, I put this one up first. Well, I don't know if I'm really fantastic. I think I'm stupid, actually. I'm obviously too generous. I can't afford to do it, but I did it anyway. I just have the feeling that if they're people you know and people that you're friends with, and you've got the ability to help, well, you bloody help, don't you? I mean, that's just the way I think about it. But but I also think landlords are parasites. So there we go. Here's something you may be interested in. I'm on my way home staying at Leeton. I like Leeton, famous organised crime town, formerly of, that's where John Elliott had the infamous water wheel rice growing venture, going to Tuckerbill wetlands is great. Now, Naomi, don't be sad that I wasn't contacted, and I'm not upset. I want to make that clear. I'm not upset. I just I just think that after years of supporting something that I think is important, the very fact that I don't know, I'm not upset. I just think, okay, well, I'm just obviously not the outlet that um you know that they want to be associated with. And I think that's fair if that's what they want. I have reached out many times and said, please put me on your mailing list when you've got, and it's not only the one organisation that I think you know what I'm talking about. Many organisations. So they employ people on 70 grand, 80 grand, 90 grand a year to do their social media. And I say to them, hey, could you please put me, just make sure when you're doing an event or you want to promote something, I'll promote. Just let me know what's going on. I'm not on any of those lists. So obviously I'm not important. So why do I structure what I'm doing to try and do things that will assist them? So anyway, I'm not upset. I'm frustrated because my God, I've spent a lot of time chasing a lot of people. And look, a lot of the content I've done with a lot of these people is quite self-indulgent because you try and make it different so that it's got legs in the long term. Actually, I haven't looked at my stats for a long, long time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. So we can... just going to see whether YouTube is actually growing while we're here. Oh, what a surprise. The Republicans have come out today and said, yes, 2025 Project 2025 is the agenda. What a surprise. Who would have thought that? I can tell you I'm not growing subscribers on a thing. Yeah, I'm just having sorry. Okay, I'm going to look at the stats. I know that this is really boring for anyone who's sort of watching. Let's come back and see if anyone's commenting. No. Well, it's all Facebook today. Hello, other people on Facebook. Let us know if you're not in Australia. Let us know where you are coming from. Oh, I've had some extra subscribers in the last few days. That was good. The views are ticking along. Let's have a look. Well, the Dawn Chorus is still getting views. Well, that's interesting. I still don't have enough subscribers to get the really great stats. Wow. I'm just going to click. Well, I can tell you that I'll just come back and think. So I can tell you, looking at my raw stats, I haven't looked at them for a couple of months, and I just looked at them then. The most popular things I do on the Bird Emergency channel is habitat gardening and photography and issues, feral cats, climate change, degrowth, the stuff that I get animated about. Brush turkeys. Brush turkeys are very popular too. Um, and the way the analytics work or the way YouTube works is if people watch something and interact with it, click on it, like it, share it, well then more people who have a viewing history similar to that particular viewer get shown the thumbnail and can get involved in it. I haven't put too much time into thumbnails and descriptions and headlines and stuff, but I'm going to now, and I'm going to. I always thought I would not follow the audience, but I'm going to. I'm going to see what happens. So I think habitat gardening is going to become the main show. I like doing the Monday shows the way I've always done the Monday shows. I'm going to keep doing that. And I'll just fit in what other stuff I like to do. Yeah, and according to the analytics, Dawn Chorus they're not necessarily getting the most views, but they are getting the most interaction. And Hugh Possingham was very popular. Where We're Wedgie update that I did was pretty popular, but definitely what I'm finding is people don't watch much of the they don't watch much of the videos. So I think the short videos is going to have to be the go. And where are people coming from? Most people are coming from YouTube search or coming from the mybirdemergency.com/YouTube link. They are being referred in. Actually, I'll take that up to 90 days. Let's have a look at the last 3 months because I haven't really looked for a long time. Yeah, my click-through rate is terrible at the moment, so I really need to work on that. Where are people coming from? This is very interesting, isn't it? Okay, so 2.5% of my audience comes from the United States, but the United States is the largest individual country, I think. I don't know, or maybe not. Let's have a look at my age. It was very old for a while. Not enough demographic. I might have to do that for a year. Let's see. Let's see if lifetime. Let's see. 37% of my viewers are between 25 and 34, and 62% of them are between 35 and 44. So that's interesting, isn't it? Gender, it was nearly all female once, and it's 77% male, 23% female. Only 20% of people who watch are subscribed. Most people subscribe from when they're watching the YouTube page. And and the content type people are watching is live streams. Is that right? What about in the last 90 days? Live streams. So there we go. So on YouTube, nearly everybody is watching the live streams. I'll have to get back into doing them shorts again, and I think I better work out. I'll work out me dozens, my plant dozens first, and get that membership set up. Naomi, do you have a preference? Buy me a coffee or Patreon? Or if I structure it through the website, through the Bird Emergency website. Now that you can just put a PayPal button or a Stripe button on your website, that might be just as easy. But I agree with you, Naomi. Buy me a coffee. Okay, buy me a coffee. I'll set that tier up this afternoon. I'll just finalise my couple of offerings, my 12-month offerings, and make the little page. I'll do that. All right, well, gang, seems like we've been in... I'll change my background. This is what I feel like we should have been doing, Naomi. There we are. Just feel like I'm sitting back at home having a chat. I was going to bring Loz in, but he's very happy outside. I'll bring Loz in tomorrow. I'll set him up. I bought his stand in, but I'll set the other camera up so that we can be watching Loz. I'll be on here, and obviously I'm not using my flash camera because it's in the pawn shop. And I'll set the other camera up for Loz. I think I'll set my iPhone up because it's going to be better than this. So, yeah. Anyway, there we go. It's been great talking to you all. Thanks for the people. I did see a couple of my Philippines friends dropping in, just seeing what the live stream was all about. I know they have trouble with the Australian accent and getting going. Hello YouTube, just popping in. We're getting to the end today. I'll be streaming again tomorrow. I think it'll be midday, but I might even stream tonight. There are some other things I want to talk about. There's some unbelievable news that isn't about politics that has just been swamped in the last 6 weeks. I've saved a lot of articles, so we'll do a bit of a rundown there, and I'm going to work out my Dawn Chorus and some other regulars back. I'm going to reach out to Holly and see if Holly wants to rejig, maybe Monday with Holly once a month or something, and I'm going to reach out to some other people and see if they'd like to be regulars on a Monday. Fridays are off for a while. I'll be studying until May. Naomi, have you got any other people you would like to see me try and rope into being involved in a regular guest, perhaps? A lot of the people I want to reach out to, their platforms are just so big that they're not going to even say yes to me. But we'll see. We'll reach out and find out. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Naomi. Just quickly, if there's anyone you would like me to reach out to as a guest, let me know. Now, what was my... it's the Bird Emergency / where's my... Have I got my buy me a coffee thing? No, I don't anymore. Gee, I've really dropped the ball. I've got to clean up everything I'm doing and get back to being snappy and professional. Thank you, Naomi. You have a great day too. Enjoy the drive back. No, here's your suggestion. You can tell me. what day should I do a bird watching show, like where I interview someone about bird watching, like people who are active in the bird watching groups, not professional bird watchers. And yeah, I was thinking that should maybe be an evening show. Let me know what you think of that. Thebirdemergency.com/coffee is, I just remembered, so long. That was that's the buy me a coffee link. I always appreciate a coffee. Oh, look, Cockies looks a bit funny in the green screen, doesn't he? Okay, Naomi, 1 vote for Sunday evening. Thank you for that. I will put a post up on all the socials about that and see if people are interested. Okay, I'm going to go and do that list now, Naomi. Thanks. I've enjoyed getting back into the swing of things. I'm so out of practice, and because I'm not using my normal setup, I need to rejig everything again to get back into it. So yeah, we'll spend a day or two getting the muscle memory back for streaming, and I'll get the other camera set up. And that's a good suggestion, Naomi. Everyone has done their birding and they can sit back and enjoy it. Is 7 o'clock a reasonable start time, or is for a Sunday evening? Bearing in mind that's Australian Eastern time. Excuse me. I mean, it's going to be different for lots of people. Anyway, that's where we're at. Thebirdemergency.com/YouTube is a link I would like you to click on, which will get you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I can promise I'm going to make a little bit more effort than I have in the last sort of 8 weeks to deliver you some good quality, entertaining content, and hopefully educational as well. Yeah. Okay. 7 is good. All right. Thanks, Naomi. I know I'm taking a sample size of 1, but at least that's 1 that is 100% of the people who are interested today said 7 o'clock on a Sunday is a good time. So yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Birdemergency.com/coffee. I'll just throw that in there. I'll have to get back to plugging that. See ya.